Hey guys, this is Cap Coldblood. I'm back for another episode of the 30-Day Star Wars Challenge. Now, in the previous video that I recorded today, I have covered my favorite droid, but right now we are covering my favorite ship in Star Wars. Now, what I'm going to say right now, I will put this into two parts. It'll be two parts in the same video. I will cover my favorite fighter class ship, as well as my favorite cruiser. As really, ship is kind of a loose term. I have so many favorite ships and fighters in Star Wars that I'd really rather split the two into the same video but separate categories. Because picking one is too difficult and I'm lazy, so I want to actually showcase two of my absolute favorites. So what I'll go ahead and do right now is talk about my favorite type of fighter from Star Wars, and we can think all the way back to the Sith Empire, all the way up to the current First Order Resistance conflict. So my favorite fighter that I have, that I know about, would have to be the original LN class TIE fighter. This fighter is iconic. It was one of the first fighters we saw. It was the first fighter we saw in the original Star Wars. It has the iconic twin ion engines. That's what TIE stands for. And the original LN fighter was the what Wedge Antilles in his Ring of Rogue Squadron would call eyeballs. They have the straight panels on the sides and then the cockpit in the center. So they're not the TIE Interceptor with the curved wings like the Advanced, or like the Advanced, which is Darth Vader's. The TIE LN is one ship I love, mainly because of one of the reasons is because of the design. I just really like how angular it is and how sleek it is. The nice kind of off-white gray of the hull, and then the black panels on it on the solar sides. It's just an incredible looking ship and very intimidating. Also, the sound when the lasers fire is just beautiful. I love it so much with the TIE Fighter. And then the sound of the TIE Fighter's engines. It's all throughout Rogue One. It's all throughout all the Star Wars films. That kind of that wonderful, beautiful sound of the engines flaring up is just one of my all-time favorite sounds from anything, music, games, movies, television. That TIE Fighter engine sound. Three things are Star Wars in my mind. Darth Vader, an Imperial Star Destroyer, and TIE Fighter engines. Hearing TIE Fighter engines flare. As you can guess, the fan film TIE Fighter, made by a single man, is one of my favorite all-time animations because of the emphasis that the TIE Fighters are given in that. Really just... there are disadvantages with the TIE Fighter. It is extremely weak, it is extremely expendable, but the amount of firepower that it carries, its LS-class laser cannons, are very powerful. If you watch Space Doc, which I hope you do at this point, he's a great YouTube commentator on all things science fiction. Really, he gives quite an insight into the TIE Fighter, and his videos have given me a lot of well, how shall I say, insight into their design and how they were used. I enjoy the swarm tactics of the TIE Fighters. I do believe in strength in numbers. The Tarkin Doctrine is well represented by the TIE Fighter. And I think one of the things that it helps solidify, or two of the things that help solidify my love for the TIE Fighter, would have to be the games Star Wars Empire at War and Star Wars Battlefront EA 2015. Now, I'll explain 2015 first, because a lot of people do not like that game or think it's a terrible game. I don't completely disagree, but I paid for the season pass. Right up front, I bought the whole game, and once I finally got everything, it was decent. But my favorite part of that was almost always flying TIE Fighters. Occasionally I'd want to be Darth Vader, but flying TIE Fighters in that game was extremely satisfying, extremely rewarding. I would always go around just doing strafing runs, shooting down X-Wings and A-Wings, especially in the Death Star and Rogue One DLCs. Those were my favorite times to fly TIE Fighters, and also in Bespin. If you played Rogue Squadron 2, Rogue Leader, then you would know that the Bespin air combat map was ripped straight from that game. But the point is, all the TIE Fighters that I love playing as, I love the Interceptor, yes, because it was an interesting ship and it was a little bit more powerful. But the original TIE Fighter sticks with me so much. I can't say no to it. It is my favorite starfighter of all time. The Arc 170 is a good ship. You know, the Droid Tri-Fighter is cool, but give me a TIE LN, and I will be the happiest Star Wars fan ever. Give me a full... Like, I bought every single type of TIE fighter I can get. That'll be covered in a later day, all our Star Wars merch. But getting TIE fighters is my dream. Those $90 TIE fighter sets that they sell, extremely overpriced, but those are the things I long for. So I said I'd talk about my favorite ship, and I'm going to talk capital class ships now, you know, cruisers, bigger ships, and I made allusion to it earlier in the video, and first things first, I want to say now, I'm not going to pick the Executor or Eclipse class Super Star Destroyers, because really, those are extensions of my favorite ship, and by this point you probably guessed, my favorite ship is the Imperial class Star Destroyer. The Executor is an amazing ship, and used in the game Empire at War with the Absolute Enhancement mod, the Executor is incredible. But the standard class Star Destroyer, concussion missile batteries, ion cannons, heavy ones, heavy turbo lasers, light turbo lasers, 72 TIE fighters per ship, and a ton of bombers per ship. It can carry, I believe, 4 AT-ATs and like 10 AT-STs. It can carry 1,800 stormtroopers. This ship is iconic, it's incredible, and it is one of the most powerful symbols of the Empire in the known galaxy. You know, this thing screams the Tarkin Doctrine, and when there are multiple Star Destroyers, they can absolutely wreak havoc on any ship in the Rebellion. I've made allusion to Empire at War a bit. If you've played Star Wars Empire at War, you know, if you have an Acclamator class assault cruiser that you're going up against, if you're the Rebellion, and you're going up against an Acclamator, you can deal with it. If you go up against a Victory class Star Destroyer, you feel you can deal with it, although you'll need a plenty amount of bombers. If there's an Imperial class Star Destroyer, a class 1, that is when you become worried. Even I become worried when I'm facing down a Star Destroyer. Not because it's hard to take down. Really, if you send two flights of Y-Wings and they're uninterrupted, then they can completely decimate a Star Destroyer. But the Star Destroyer is more intimidating than a classic Mon Calamari type cruiser, even the Home 1. So just facing down a single Star Destroyer is intimidating. I mean, like I said, if you played Empire at War, a lot of my experience with these things comes from Empire at War. If you go up against it with anything except bombers, fighters, and a Mon Calamari cruiser, it's going to get decimated. Your Corellian corvettes stand no chance. Your Corellian gunships may get a few missiles past the shields, but not enough to blow anything up. Nebulon Bs crumble completely under the ship. It takes 3 shots from a turbo laser to blow one of your systems, and your overpowered shields don't even work. Your supercharged shields don't even work against that. And the Assault Frigate Mark II, you need like 3 or 4 of them to take a single Star Destroyer down without any other support. Now, if you have, like, let's say 10 flights of X-Wings and 10 flights of Y-Wings, you're going to take it down easy. A flight of 10 X-Wings can easily take down a destroyer. But the point being, a normal Imperial Star Destroyer carries such a heavy payload, you know, 3 or 4 of them can lock down an entire planet. And it's just impressive. You saw at the end of Rogue One how they had to use extremely unorthodox tactics to take down 2 Imperial Star Destroyers. Then Lord Vader's Devastator came out of hyperspace. It ripped the fleet apart. I mean, a Gallifrey transport crashed into the Devastator, ripping it to pieces. It shot a Nebulon B in half with a single shot. It was destroying the Mon Calamari capital ship that Admiral Raddus was using. This thing is insane. It is super powerful, and it is more than worthy of my favorite spot for a Star Wars ship. My favorite Star Wars ship. So, I know they're kind of connected. I know it's kind of redundant of me to use 2 Imperial ships, but really, like I said, that is Star Wars to me. Kylo Ren is becoming a more interesting character. BB-8 is becoming the new iconic droid that everybody loves. Porgs are going to be Star Wars for a long time. And Luke Skywalker is going to be a central focus, as well as Snoke's Supremacy Class Star Destroyer, stupid name. But Supremacy Class Star Destroyer, it's going to become an iconic part of Star Wars, just as the Destroyer, Lord Vader, and the TIE Fighter have become. So, it's why I love Star Wars. It's the Empire is the reason I love Star Wars, so it's no surprise that my favorite ships would be Imperial. So I thank you guys very much for watching, and I will see you back here tomorrow. Have a good day.